Ireland for tourists? Now, what in the world are all of these standing stones about? Oh, I've been holding off on this one because this one is difficult. But you've guys been asking me so many questions about these megalithic structures in Ireland that I thought, you know what, I'll bite the bullet. We're going to make a series about all of these wedge graves, all of these passage tombs, stone circles, and standing stones in the whole of Ireland. What are they for? Why were they built? When were they built? And better yet, how can you get the most out of them when you are visiting this beautiful place? Today, standing stones. And of course, we're going to do that by visiting an actual standing stone. Now, if that sounds good to you, then let me be your Ireland tourist guide for this one video, and let's get into it. As we make our way up the mountain here to our end destination for today, I just wanted to mention this is purely an introductionary level video. This is a huge subject filled with many passionate people, and with those you get a lot of contradicting views. This is just meant as your best starting point for when you go out into the Irish countryside yourself. Later on in the video, I will share my 3 best tips for when you are out in the field with these megaliths to get the most out of your experience. And at the very end of the video, we will go into if you actually feel something when you are alone with one of these standing stones. That's all later. For now, let's start with the question that I get asked most often, and that is why? Why were these stones placed here? It's a lot of effort for a Neolithic or Bronze Age people to erect one of these stones. It's not an easy feat, so why did they do this? Oh, the honest answer is we don't know. We really do not know. See, there are no written records from the period that these things were erected. And the written materials that we do have come from hundreds, thousands of years later, from people who were either the direct enemies of the then Celtic people or from the Irish themselves that had by that time had been Christianized. So those are not the most reliable sources. Of course, archaeologists are going to try to explain these kind of things, and they have things like boundary markers, like grave markers, or even ritualistic sites have all been proposed to explain these standing stones. But again, we're not 100% sure. To quote the famous Aubrey Brill, a British archaeologist and expert on anything and everything megalithic in the British Isles, he said, "One stone by itself mocks understanding," and that couldn't be more true. See, a standing stone near a stone circle or a passage tomb, or even near another standing stone, or perhaps even a stone row, those things are far easier to explain because they are situated in a context. Then ideas of markings in the landscape or pointing towards another ritualistic site, those ideas come into play, or even astronomical alignments in the case of stone rows. But if you're just dealing with one single standing stone that's just silently standing there without any further context, now that is difficult to explain. By the way, pro tip here, if you ever want to sound like a true archaeologist, just say, if you come across something that you're not quite sure about, that it was probably ritualistic. Sounds very academic. Now, I don't want to be bad-mouthing the archaeologists because, hey, they are in a tough spot. Archaeology does not have a lot of money behind it, and oftentimes they have to reconstruct a whole civilization, a whole story that keeps the money coming in from a simple potsherd or from one standing stone that doesn't have that much to tell. Now, if we're just meeting for the first time, my name is Niels, and on this channel I share the history, the mystery and the beauty of Ireland for those people who are interested in traveling this gorgeous country. So you can find these standing stones all over the old world in Asia, Africa, but specifically in northwestern Europe. Think France, Brittany, the British Isles, those kinds of places. In Ireland, they're dated to the Bronze Age, so that's about 2500 to 500 BC. But there are quite a few standing stones that have been dated to the Neolithic or the Stone Age, so they are quite a bit older, but a good rule of thumb is the Bronze Age. As to who built them, we're not quite sure. In the popular mind, they're usually associated with the Celts, But the Celts are an Iron Age phenomena or culture, so that is way younger than the Bronze Age. What seems to be the case is that the Celts used the standing stones as part of their ritualistic landscapes instead of building them themselves. Now please note who the Celts were and where they came from and stuff like that. That is a hot button issue in academia, so we won't go into that in this video. Just keep in mind standing stones are older than what we think of in the popular mind as the Celts. No, you should be focusing the other way around. So it is estimated that there are about 10,000 of these megaliths left in Northern Europe, but probably there were originally about 5 to 10 times as many. During the ages they were either torn down by farmers, by Christians, or just by the climate. And whenever you visit one of these megalithic sites, you will see that most of them are in pretty rough shape. They're fragile, even though they are protected and considered cultural heritage, they are in rough shape. So just keep that in mind when you are visiting one. If you want to get an idea of how old Bronze Age actually is, I did a short video about that, which I'll link up in the description to really give you an idea of how old actually is. I'm making a very quick stop here at this derelict house just as we're going over the top of the pass to the other side, to the second valley where our standing stone actually is. Now let's talk about something very peculiar when you're visiting Ireland and hunting for these standing stones. So oftentimes it's actually not quite clear if a stone is actually a real standing stone. So let's say, for example, that you're driving through the Irish countryside and you see from the corner of your eye one of these megaliths and you're going like, yes, that's a real one. Oftentimes it's not. You will see that a lot of fakes are out there, and when I say fakes, these things could be big boulders that came down from the mountainside and are standing at deceiving angles. These could be old scratching posts for cattle that have been put up by farmers, old gateway posts where the gateway itself has long since been removed, but those posts are still there. And also in the 19th and 20th century, with the whole Celtic revival craze, loads and loads of people put decorative standing stones in their gardens and all over the landscape. We actually came past 2 places on our way up the mountain with these kind of deceptive standing stones. So then the question becomes, how do you know that it's a real one? Well, unless there's a sign there, you're never 100% sure. Of course, you can check websites before or afterwards, but if you're on the spot, the best rules of thumb that we found is, are there packing stones at the base of the standing stone to keep the stone upright? Old lichen and moss on the stone itself to really show that it's been standing there and weathering the harsh Irish climate for quite some time. And what is the location in the landscape? So for example, a lot of standing stones can be found either overlooking a valley or on top of a hillock or near a river or stuff like that. So very prominent locations in the landscape. Those 3 combined give you a pretty good rule of thumb if you're dealing with a fake one or a real one. So we're at the standing stone right now. I actually did another video for you guys about the best tips for all of these things that you can visit in Ireland. The one thing that you absolutely need to bring, I'll add it up on the left side of the screen right about now. Kira, left side? There. Where was left? So I did promise you guys 3 tips for when you are visiting a standing stone. Let's start with the first one. Do a little bit of background reading and see if you can find any local myths or folklore about that particular standing stone. Now, I've done the work for this one. I couldn't find anything, but oftentimes you find local myths either in the local tourist shop or just talking to people, or even on websites. For example, a lot of standing stones, they have the local legends connected to it, that it's a petrified evildoer or wrongdoer, or even an old Irish god that was petrified by a saint or a Christian monk or something like that. It's a very common theme in Ireland for explaining these standing stones. Kira seems to be having fun there. So the second tip that I can give you guys is take your pictures, take your video material the moment that you arrive or the moment that you leave. Do it all in one batch, in one go, so that once you've done with that, you don't have to focus on that anymore. You can actually enjoy the place. You've got your full attention on the megalith, on the standing stone, and you don't have to focus on how do you look on social media or to your friends in the pictures. Down on the ground here you can see some of the packing stones to keep the stone stable. And the last tip would be just be still, enjoy the place, take it all in, let it just seep into your whole being. This is an ancient place of ceremony. These stones have seen countless generations before you and will see countless more after you're gone, and that by itself is quite something. And let's address one final thing. Do you actually feel something when you're with one of these megaliths? I found that for everyone it's different. It depends on the situation, depends on the person, it depends on the stone. Me personally, it's very subtle. I do feel something, but it's the moment that I go away from one of these places that I feel the difference. So not so much when I'm actually there, but the moment that I go away, when I'm driving back in the car, I'm going like, oh wait, there's actually a difference. Now going back into normal reality. Again, it's very subtle, but it's definitely there. Now, I'll leave that to your own imagination and to your own judgment what that feeling actually might be, but for me, it's undeniable. Check it out for yourself. And that was it for this video. If you got some value out of it, consider subscribing, leave me a comment and a like, and I'll see you in the next one.
Should have walked slower. Again, walk back this way. And the other way. Oh, perfection.